All right, chapter 3, strategic planning for competitive advantage. We're going to base a lot of our examples on Cirque du Soleil, but we have a bunch of other activities that we're going to also focus on in class. So the learning objectives, so many learning objectives. Don't worry, we'll try to keep it simple, but we're going to understand what strategic planning is. So we're getting into the marketing tactics of actually doing functional marketing, practical marketing, other than we're doing the theory side of it, but it'll be interesting to see how a corporation decides and evolves its marketing plan. We're going to talk about a mission statement and what makes an efficient one, or not efficient, efficient's an okay word, but maybe more effective. We're going to construct a SWOT analysis, which we will also do in our next class. Describe the different growth strategies. Understand competitive advantages and their strategic use. How are we unique? How are we being different? How are we out-competing our competitors? We're going to learn how to construct SMART objectives, which is a tool that you should be using for every single class and every single work project that you create. All my employees almost annoyingly go, Doug, what is the actual goal of this project? And it's music to my ears that they ask that now, but it can also be somewhat annoying. And then we're going to define and practice using the marketing mix, which we'll probably do a majority of that in our next class as well. So strategic planning, what is it? Well, I tried to break it down into a slide that kind of splits it up for you because you do understand that it is divided into corporate planning, business planning, and marketing planning. So if you take all of this in the big picture, that's strategic planning. By establishing the organization's objectives, determining how to achieve them, right? Using our internal resources. What do we have to go and meet these objectives? And then how to maintain a fit between objectives, resources, and marketing opportunity. And we do that at multiple levels, right? We do that at corporate planning, and we think about some of the activities that we might do from the C-level position, the chief operating officer, the CEO, the chief marketing officer, the big business planning. They might look externally and internally and use a couple of different tools. They might define a mission statement. They will define a mission statement if they're a well-run company. They'll conduct a SWOT, which is a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis to see, all right, if we're going to incorporate how we're going to use our internal resources, well, we better see what we're really, really good at, what our strengths are internally, and what our internal weaknesses are. At the same time, we want to look a little bit externally and see, well, what opportunities are existent in the marketplace? Again, is the EU deciding to fight food hunger, and if so, food waste, and if so, can we utilize that? That's an opportunity that is external, meaning that we can't control it. And then threat, right? That could be competitors or other people or other regulatory concern, any of those CREST environmental scanning tools that we learned in chapter 2. Any of those could be opportunities or they could be seen as threats. They actually play between these depending on what your perception is, right? So we conduct that as strengths, weakness, opportunity, and threats, internal and external. And then we identify growth strategies. So this is all done at the corporate level. So if you think about a giant corporation, right, they're thinking big picture. We might have 1,000 different products that we're trying to sell, but this is what we're trying to achieve, okay? The business planning breaks down those 1,000 units into what they call the strategic business unit level. So there will be different teams responsible for, say, one team would be responsible for selling Energizer batteries, if you're Procter & Gamble and you have an array of products. And then maybe somebody else is responsible for like facial clay mask or some kind of makeup, right? So for each of these strategic business units, it's going to have different competitive advantages or different possible competitive advantages. You're also going to have different competitors, right? So you identify what your advantage is, or you try to really double down and further develop your competitive advantage. So that's the business planning side, which involves your accountants, your finance, your economist, your marketing people as well. And then understanding all of this information, we actually do marketing planning. Marketing activities that are guided by these levels above. So although marketers are a very, very important part of the business, you have to make sure that you are aligned with the overall organization. And this is one of the reasons that the organization starts off with defining a mission statement. Let me just go back. Because we want to make sure that once we get down to the third row of employees or team members, however you look at it, we want to make sure that whatever marketing objectives, identifying the target market, developing the marketing mix, the 4 Ps, and implementing this marketing is actually going to help grow our mission statement, right? And make sure that it's leading to our competitive advantage. So we're always trying to tie these together. And I know as you read through it in your textbook, it can be kind of complicated, but strategic planning is the big picture. And then we have multiple levels because within the organization, we have to align them. And the starting point is the mission statement. So I hope this helps kind of narrow down that big chunk of your chapter. Okay, so let's go in a little further. Corporate planning. Defining a mission statement. So a statement of the firm's value based on careful analysis of benefits sought by customers. Really, what value do you think we can provide to customers? And the better that we can, make this very, very clear and go after a very single mission, likely the better that we're going to be able to also capture value, which is really important for defining what marketing is. So we look at these mission statements over here. Maybe you can guess the company. So there's a mission statement at the top. Our mission to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. Well, there's some clues in there. One cup, right? So who do you think that is? So put that in your heads. We'll see if you're right, okay? Before you do that, let's do a second guess. Build a place where people can come to find and discover anything they might want to buy online. I think I got my answer in my head. Let's see what it comes up. So yeah, Starbucks, your favorite Joe down the street. We're going to do some activities based on Starbucks. And then also Amazon. 2 giant corporations. Amazon, almost unfathomable how large they are. Okay, so very clear mission statements. And the reason that they need to be very, very clear is so that all those levels that we saw previously, no matter if you're the chief executive officer, if you're one of the top level vice presidents, or if you're a very high level executive marketer, or you're an intern that just started delivering coffee in the marketing team, you can all look towards that mission and understand what we are trying to accomplish, okay? So for Cirque du Soleil, they needed to come up with a really good mission statement. They're a Canadian-based, multi-billion-dollar company, which I'm going to describe a bit. I'm going to describe how they took a traditional market and then built a competitive advantage, but I have a video to help me with that. It's coming. But before they did that, they had to come up with a really good mission statement. And great mission statements are specific, they're realistic, they motivate both your employees and hopefully your customers. Talking about your customers, they focus around their customer-centric, so you understand that you're constantly providing value to your customers, so it has to be customer-centric. They fit the marketing environment. We've looked at the external, opportunities and threats. We've recognized that this kind of business will fit into the regulatory and all the other external environmental factors that go into your CREST analysis, right? And are based on distinctive competencies, something that you do better. And so Cirque du Soleil is an international organization founded in Quebec dedicated to the creation, production, and performance of artistic works whose mission is to invoke the imagination, to provoke the senses, and to evoke the emotions of people around the world. So they are evoking a lot of creativity and using their entertainment value to really deliver what ended up being I would say a higher level type of entertainment compared to like a traditional circus used to be. Okay, so how did they do that? Let's watch this video, then we'll discuss it right after. Blue ocean strategy, very important. What's a blue ocean strategy? Circus. So the circus is really a red ocean. Lots of competitors. The red ocean means that they're fighting against each other. It's like a shark going around. There's lots of blood in the water. can see here, they have the smaller circuses and what happened to their business, and then Circus du Soleil was created, right? They went and looked at the external environment. A whole bunch of things have happened. Animal cruelty became an external threat, which they wanted to get around. And the other problem is that circuses were becoming empty. Circuses were also incredibly cheap. You could get tickets to a circus for $10 or $15. So there was this mass exodus of talent. There was these acrobats, there was these amazing performers that were really running out of work and also not feeling good about their work if they valued animal rights. So Circus du Soleil said, well, listen, we want to be able to keep these people working, but how do we differentiate ourselves? Well, first of all, we're going to go after a different target market. Instead of charging $10 or $20 a ticket, we're going to charge $100 a ticket. Because people want to be entertained. People are willing to spend money on high value theater. And this is just going through the results. Pretty cool, and that is the power of understanding marketing. You can take the same resources, exactly the same performers, switch it around a bit, switch your market, build your competitive advantage based on a high level of performance, and all of a sudden you're a multi-billion-dollar business that was staring right in front of everybody but it never happened until Circus du Soleil did it. Okay, that's excellent marketing. All right, we're going to transition into SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis we are going to speak about in class as well, in our discussion class. But some key facts. I tried to go through it in the introduction, probably a little too long. Just some keys that you have to remember. What it stands for, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? This helps the business understand their internal and external environment. Remember, we did the CREST analysis to check out our external environment. This understanding will help set strategic direction. So basically, how this is split up, what you really need to understand is strengths and weaknesses are always the internal elements. How much money do we have? Do we have talent? Who are our personnel that make up our business? Do we have any IP, intellectual property that can set us apart from the competition? External, remember CREST, C-R-E-S-T, right? These are all the things that we can't control. That's what differentiates internal versus external. External is what we see happening in the horizon. If the government all of a sudden decides to change the tax law, for instance, we can't control that. Maybe we could send some lobbyists and stuff so we could try, but in general, we can't control that. Technology change. If a new technology comes out and puts us out of business, well, we need to be looking for that, okay? That's an external threat. All right, so some strengths that you can see, these are a ton of them. We don't need to go through all of them. But our core capabilities of your business where the business has an advantage over your competitors. So maybe we have a really strong brand in connection to our customers. This is true with Starbucks. Their branding is really, really strong and their return rate on customers is gigantic compared to most other coffee shops. Unique selling points. So that could be for any business, but let's stick with Starbucks. What are some of the unique selling points that Starbucks offers that other people don't? Well, I can think of one thing is that they provide a very nice scene, but you can actually go in and do work. It's a meetup spot. A lot of people actually go to Starbucks and not just have one coffee, but have 2 or 3 over the course of the day. You can look at their loyalty programs that bring customer back. And then you can also look at a lot of the 4 Ps, the price, right? Starbucks is seen as a little bit of a higher end compared to, like, say, a Dunkin' Donuts. But yeah, so these are the type of strengths. Notice that all of these things we can control. Again, they're internal. Weaknesses are core capabilities of your advantage where your competitors have an advantage over your business, okay? So there's maybe gaps in our capabilities. So if we were doing a SWOT analysis and we were a traditional circus, we might go, well, one of our weaknesses is that we don't tell a very good story. Like, we're not creating a production value like our competitors are. And so we have to make a decision. Once we see that weakness, we can either ignore it or we can decide to invest in trying to strengthen that weakness and turning it into one of our strengths, okay? It also internally, it can talk about, like, you know, is your product becoming obsolete? But also, like, what about your colleagues and your employees, the talent? The talent that usually makes up the business. Talent and financial resources. Is there weak morale or commitment? Or is there a lack of leadership? Do we not even create a mission statement so everybody's running in 1,000 different directions? And that brings up a toxic kind of environment, because imagine you work on a project for 6 months and then all of a sudden the CEO comes in and looks at it and goes, that doesn't work for any of our goals. And you're like, well, my manager Joe over here told me to work on this project for the last 6 months and I did the best. He's like, yeah, that looks like great work, but Joe didn't really communicate the message. Actually meaning that the CEO probably didn't create the message or didn't make a succinct mission statement or the messaging to Joe. So it's really, really important that how the internal side of your company works is evaluated. An opportunity, now we're going external. Remember, opportunities and threats is an external environment condition in your macro or industry environments you can leverage your strength upon. External attractive factors that represent the reason for an organization to exist and develop, right? So what are the interesting trends you can take advantage of? Again, Intermarché's example, they took advantage that the European Union was going to make this the year to fight food waste, and they're going to spend $1 billion in advertising. So they're like, well, why don't we jump our marketing on that $1 billion of advertising? It's money that we don't have to spend, and it's probably off the radar of our competitors. And this is a big reason why you need to use tools like SWOT analysis or CREST, because those external factors, if you're not monitoring them, you won't know what you don't know. You won't innovate to create great marketing solutions. And like, again, what I would say is all of the best marketing examples that we're going to see in this course and in your future courses usually leverage what's happening within the current marketing environment, okay? Last of all, a threat, an external environment condition that is out of your control and you can harm your business. So for traditional circuses, animal cruelty was coming up on the radar. It was almost as much as like against food waste. PETA was having lots of great marketing campaigns to fight any kind of use of animals that had any kind of a cruelty for animals or used them to, capture value from customers. So a threat, there's many different kinds of threats. Again, they're external. Is there new technologies? Is the economy changing? Is there a giant recession happening? Are people out of work, right? All of these things can affect discretionary income, which we learned about previously, and the dollars available for you to sell your product or service. How do we conduct a SWOT? Well, we're going to talk about that in class. So I think that will be a really great breakout activity for us. So we're going to move past that. And we're going to talk about Anzoff's strategic opportunity matrix. Okay? How can we grow the firm? So the SWOT really identifies like the strategic direction that the firm will go. Then you can proceed with understanding how to grow using the Anzoff matrix. So how this works is you look at your current products and potentially thinking about new products, right? And the current market that you have and potentially new markets. So if you take Starbucks, for example, right? You might be thinking, okay, well, we have this current product. We have a French vanilla latte and it's blowing up, right? And our current market really, really, really loves it. So maybe we need to push these lattes further so that we can get more of the product to the market. That's called market penetration. So going after the current target, the same target market that we're attacking now that loves French lattes, right? And we're going to keep pushing those French lattes forever because there's a lot more customers out there that still don't know about it, and we're going to do a market penetration strategy. Now say that our target market for these lattes were university students, and we just had them hooked. They just love the sugar of it, or the sweet, sweet taste. Well, we've hit all the university students, we've gone global, so now we might want to consider a new market. And so, we want to stick with the same product, right? But we're going to take vanilla lattes and we're going to say that it's really, really good for, I don't know, this is made up and not true at all, but say we've made the scientific link that it's great for dementia. So our new target market is going to go after seniors. Seniors should drink coffee. It gives them more energy each day. And the vanilla latte has got proven ingredients, which it doesn't. You have to make sure that you're truthful. So remember our ethics and CSR chapter that we just did, okay? But if you're going to do that, if you're going to stick with a current product, which is vanilla lattes, right, and go to a new market, well, now that's not market penetration. You're not penetrating into the current target market. You're trying to find a new target market, so that's called market development. And this matrix, it looks very simple, but you need to understand all four of these. It's tested over and over and over again, Okay, so whenever we're dealing with the current product, we're either dealing with market penetration or market development, which would mean a new target customer. Sometimes either that product's not working or it's already saturated, so you've already hit all that target market. So you might want to consider a new product. Okay, so if you have the current market, let's say that it was university students, and you didn't want to go and develop that into going after elderly people, you could go and say, well, our current market likes vanilla lattes, and we realized that, do you know what they also love? That a lot of the customers are bringing biscotti, which is like a small bread you dip into your coffee. What happens if we created a complementary product that goes with that, right? Called biscotti. We'll charge them like an obscene amount of money, like $5 for this thing that costs us 10 cents to make, and we'll put it up and make it pretty. And all of a sudden, now we're creating a new product, but it's still hitting that current market. That would be called product development. We're creating new products for our exact same target market. Now, last of all, say that you've saturated all these markets, and you're thinking that you have to not only hit a new product, but you have to hit a new market. You've developed so many coffees that your market doesn't need any more coffees. So you could choose diversification. That's a whole new product for a whole new target market. So in sticking with Starbucks, diversification, let's think about how they diversified outside of those coffee shops. One example that comes to mind is, can you buy a Starbucks cold coffee in your local grocery store? Well, yeah, a bottled coffee. Bottled coffee is not how they traditionally sold this. This is absolutely a new product, and it's hitting a new market. It's hitting people that are, shopping in grocery stores. And you might, as a good marketer, you might narrow that down to even more specific. It could be families at grocery stores, or it could be, university students at grocery stores, right? Well, it'd have to be a different kind of, university students was a bad example there because it has to be a new target market. It has to be a new market. So let's just say families at grocery stores with bottles. That's called diversification. Okay, so between market penetration, market development, product development, and diversification, these are all strategies that fall into Ansoff's strategic opportunity matrix. And it's a great tool for you to, and a language for you to discuss, well, what are we going to do with our next projects? Okay. So we know how, remember that initial slide where we have the 3 levels, business planning, corporate planning, etc., right? So we understand the environment and strategies to grow. Now we must outline how to implement, okay? How are we going to build that competitive advantage, get that unique set of features that our company will build and that our customers will perceive as significant and superior to the competition, okay? So a competitive advantage, we know, is this unique selling proposition. And we really know that it can go after cost, product differentiation, or really provide benefits to some kind of niche target, right? The goal is that we want a sustainable competitive advantage, right? So if we think like price, well, price, maybe we can make that a sustainable competitive advantage if we have great scale. So example, Amazon has like a sustainable competitive advantage in delivery services because they own their own planes, they own the whole value chain because they got so big. So that would be arguably a sustainable competitive advantage. Whereas if you're a soup company and you're selling soup within a grocery store, well, if you just keep lowering your price, well, the other soup competitors, if they have the same cost to produce that soup, can follow you in, and you really race to the bottom, and you delete all your profits. So good marketers, the last thing changing price, lowering price is the last thing you want to do unless you can create it to make a sustainable competitive advantage. Okay. So if you think about Starbucks, what is their competitive advantage? Think about that for a sec. One, they have an addictive product, but what makes them different than other coffee shops like them? We talked about it before, their loyalty program, the environment that they created, the perceived value and brand of the quality of their beans. And so all of that can be pushed into what is a competitive factor for Starbucks. So to check in, right, we did strategic planning, that's the big umbrella. We kind of went through corporate planning and talked about the SWOT analysis and how to do that. Remember, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, internal and external, right? Identified competitive advantages. Well, let's keep going to marketing planning. So marketing strategy. Selecting and describing one or more targets Develop and maintaining a marketing mix that will produce satisfying exchanges with target markets. So basically, at the marketing level, we need to come up with, you know it, the 4 Ps: price, promotion, product, and place. Okay? And so we have to create some marketing objectives so to make sure that we understand our target market and to make sure that we understand our goals. And the goals must be smart. So, what is an objective? What is a SMART objective? A SMART objective looks to accomplish something and is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Okay? So you need to have all 5 of these features to make sure that your objective is a good, smart marketing objective. By 2018, let's see if I can, I can't edit it. 2018, quarter 4, we will sell 1,000 units of vanilla lattes in British Columbia Starbucks stores. Okay? That date is often missed. That without that date, who cares how many units we sell? By 2046, we're going to sell 1,000 cups of coffee. Doesn't make it relevant. Okay? We need goals that the entire team is aligned about, and you need to make them smart. Okay? Smart objectives. Target market strategy. Target specific market segments. A market segment is a group or individuals of organizations that share one or more characteristics. And you're going to learn in chapter 8 when we get there that the more narrow, the better. And so whenever you're answering questions about target market, make it as narrow as you possibly can, as long as you know there's at least a market. As business owners, we always want to be like, well, our product is good for everyone. Well, that might be true. It might be. But it takes massive marketing dollars to hit your target market. So what are we trying to do? We're always trying to find the most efficient marketing strategy for now. Who's the biggest target market that really, really needs our product now? Well, let's hammer them with efficient advertising that speaks directly to them. Ads where the people look like the people that we're targeting, right? With the messaging. Let's go study those people so we know what their day-to-day problems is so that we can solve them so that our product and our service is has the needs and wants that our customers are demanding. Okay, we need to really connect those dots to make sure that it's a good marketing. So what do we look at to connect the target market? Well, you guessed it, the marketing mix, the product, the price, the place, the promotion, right? It's always good to review. The product, the physical units, the packaging. Remember when we looked at Inglorious Foods and Intermarché? The packaging was beautiful and it all looked the same. It was branded great. It was very plain with that orange writing, and it looked like high-end goods. Even when you looked at the Inglorious Fruit, did you notice it was on a white background and they made it look really, really fancy and simple, but with the somewhat, I guess the ugly fruit would be a way of saying it. The price, the product price, the pricing strategies. Is it 2 for 1 or is it buy 1, get 1 free? We need to test that. That's very, very different. You can see these kind of tests going on all the time, especially if you shop at Superstore. Superstore is actually almost illegal how they do their shopping, because in big letters it'll be on the price. It'll be like, $3 for this jar or this jug of milk, and then you look at it and it says when you buy 3 of them, or regular price is $4.58. That is not cool marketing. I think it's unethical, but you can see how they're manipulating the pricing strategies because the perceived value of it differs depending on how you're giving it. You might see it at a shoe store, like Payless Shoes. Buy 1, get 1 50% off. Well, why wouldn't they just say buy 2 shoes and get 75% off both? Well, because they've been testing those marketing messages, okay? And of course, the place, how is the customer going to get your product? And then the promotion, all the different ways that we can sell it, all these different things that are individual courses almost that we teach here at Douglas College. The social media digital marketing course, you have to get Marketing 3235, which is also an amazing course that I would highly, highly recommend that you guys consider taking. If I was going to do anything to come back, if I reset my career, I'd definitely take Marketing 3235 digital marketing, because I can make a multi-million-dollar company pretty easily with the information that I have and then the information that's taught in that class on how to market and measure your digital marketing ad spend. Even if you wanted to create your own agency, you wouldn't even have to graduate Douglas to start that. So I'd highly recommend considering those courses. Okay, let's put it on a scary marketing planning sheet, right? So if you remember that initial slide, we got corporate and business planning. Again, we're just repeating what we did. We got a good mission. We discussed the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and we built our competitive advantage. Those flow down into building some marketing objectives so that we could actually, you know, go after this mission. We've identified our target, and because we know our target really well, we know the product, price, place, and promotion that actually speaks to them. You can remember from the initial video that if you are if you are traveling the seas, that you probably want to get a waterproof burger package, right? That's understanding who your target market is. And then you have to lead to the next part, which is implementation. When are we going to do this by, right? Let's make it really smart objectives. What are the budgets? Do we have any leads to make sure that this is going to be a success? And then the last part of marketing planning is evaluation and control. How many did we sell? How much did it cost? Let's test and measure all of our hypotheses. So if we thought that, you know, this advertisement was going to be really, really good selling, you know, vanilla lattes to elderly people, well, how did it compare to the advertising campaigns that we sent to university students? Was it more efficient? Do we need to drop it, or do we need to change any of these 4 Ps to make sure it's better? And that's how all of marketing works from a big picture. Okay? So, implementation, the process that turns the plan into action. This is the tactics, right? Can be a source of failure. Actually going in school, a lot of the time we just work on the theory, and that's what we're trying to change here at Douglas. Like, this is a very theory-based course. As you get into the more upper level courses, like promotion, which is marketing 3340, or even your practicum, or the digital marketing or social media strategy, we position you with actual clients so that you can build a plan, but the majority of the class is building the assets so that when you leave Douglas College, you have a portfolio of marketing assets. So sure, you have some check boxes, you have some certifications, you know how to use Google Ads, you've done introductory marketing. But the next question employers are going to ask is like, okay, well, you know SEO strategies, or you know how to build a SWOT analysis. Show me what you did with a certain project or case study. And so we really want to make sure that you are practicing the implementation part of this when you're here at Douglas. It's the same as our accounting students in the class. You wouldn't just go and learn about tax law and read the entire tax book without going through and actually trying to figure out what the right numbers are, right? You need to do the practical work. So there's an activity here that we're going to map out the marketing mix for Starbucks. Again, we're going to use this in our discussion class, but I thought I'd preview it. And as we get into this overall marketing strategy plan, I think this is wrapping it up. Again, strategic planning is what this whole chapter is about. And then these are the tool sets that fall under these different corporate levels. Okay, I know that I've repeated myself a lot here, but I think a lot, including myself, a lot of students struggle because it's quite overwhelming. We're learning a lot of information here, so we need to repeat it. I would recommend to you that you go through this and try to take your own notes about what strategic planning is, and then do you know what ties to corporate planning, business planning, and marketing planning? And of course, you're not going to remember them all to begin with, but as you practice it and you kind of identify the ones that you keep forgetting, those will stick out, and then eventually you'll get it all. And and try to do that before our next class. Be a fun activity. So for chapter 3, we reviewed a little bit of chapter 2, but then we went into strategic planning and the various levels of planning, which is the slide we just covered. We checked out what makes an efficient or effective, I keep saying efficient, an effective mission statement, and we checked out Cirque du Soleil. Constructing a SWOT analysis, we've talked about it, you've read about it, now we're going to do it next class. Describe the different growth strategies available to companies, and that's Ansoff's marketing matrix there that we were using, product development versus something else. Like we're thinking about, is it a new customers? Is it a new target market or same target market? Is it the same product or is it a different product? Are we diversifying our product mix? Okay. We want to make sure that all of our future work has smart objectives, and we want to make sure that every single time we think about marketing that we're really trying to become great in understanding the marketing mix, which is price, promotion, place, and what is it? Product. That's right. Okay. Just to look back at homework, this isn't the homework I think I wanted. Complete marketing practical tutorial, read chapter 4. True. Huh. Well, we know what you should be doing. So you have chapter 2 and chapter 3. You will absolutely want to make sure that you go and you do the pre-reading for that. And I don't know where my other homework slide went off to. And then, and I covered it in chapter 2 as well. So you have it. And then you want to make sure that you get into practice marketing and starting an account. All right. Have a wonderful week, everybody.